Penguin and the Chef again, here with another tip for you. The chef's going to show you how we used to season the steaks at the restaurant. When I worked at my mom and dad's restaurant, we always turned the charbroiler on Friday and Saturday nights. If you wanted a steak other than that, it just got grilled on the flat top. My dad used to buy steaks and we'd season them, and he had a sealer, and we'd put them in bags with seasoning and stuff on them and freeze them in the freezer, and he'd date them, and that's how they'd get the different cuts taken out to be put on the charbroil right on frozen. We never thought about when we cooked them like that. So I kind of adapted that for home. We don't have a air sealer here. I just use bags and a straw, and I'll show you how I do that. But you can take a cheaper piece of meat, make it more tender, and make it taste better by doing this. I bought this steak today at the Save-A-Lot, as you can see. It's a thin cut T-bone, about 12 ounces. You're going to end up with 9 or 10 ounces of meat. Decent looking steak, not real marble, but decent looking. And you see they had it on sale for $6.49. If you bought the 2-pack, you could have got it for $6.29. If you bought the family pack, which I don't have room in the freezer for right now, you could have got it for $5.89 a pound. Check out your local Save-A-Lot. I keep telling everybody, some of them have really good meat. This one, where we live, does. But on to what I do. I open the steak up, and the first thing I'm going to do is season it. Now, my favorite seasonings on these, just for a normal steak, to make it taste more like a steakhouse steak, is onion powder, garlic powder, and lemon pepper. So, I will put a little bit of each of these on there. I don't like too much salt. I don't like steaks that have a salty taste. I've been a few steak places before, and they really went heavy on the salt in their seasoning, and I've sent them back and told them I couldn't eat them. And my lemon pepper. I found this one at the Dollar Tree for $1, and it does have salt in it, so I don't go real heavy, just enough. I sit there and I work it in. My hands are clean. I just washed them. I'll rub that all into the meat. Gets rubbed into everything good. And then I grab, this is olive oil. It's an olive oil soybean oil blend I buy at the dollar store. It's only $1 a bottle. And I'll drizzle a little bit on there. And again, I'll rub it into the meat. The fat, the bone, every bit of it. It helps soak that in there and makes it more tender. Then I'll pick it up. Get this peeled off of here. And I'll turn it over. Hang on a second, let me dispose of this. And now I'm going to do this side with my onion powder. That's why we buy the powder instead of the salt when it comes to onion and garlic, because there's no salt in these. Because things can get too salty real fast. There's my garlic. A little different trying to do it with my left hand here. And here's my lemon pepper. Ooh, went a little heavy on that side. And we're going to do the same thing. Let me spread that around a little bit. We're going to take and we're going to rub all that into the meat. Press it on down in there and pat it down in. My dad didn't use the same exact one. He had a spice blend that he bought, and I don't know exactly what one it was from the distributors we used to get stuff from, but it had a really good flavor. That's what he put on the steaks for the restaurant. But that's all pressed in now. Wipe my hand off here. And we're going to go back and drizzle our olive oil blend on. You can use whatever seasonings you like, whatever kind of oil you like. It doesn't make a difference. And I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to massage that into the meat. Like so. Now we're going to take a quick break so I can wash my hands, and we'll be right back. And here I have my 1-gallon Ziploc bag. I'm going to pick my steak up, lower it down into the bag good. And I like taking mine and trying to get them all the way to the bottom. Like so. And I got to wipe my hand again. And then we're going to take a tablespoon. And I'm going to take and get me some Worcestershire sauce. Can you see it okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to put about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Different doing this on camera. And I'm going to take it And I'm going to put it over the steak.
Just use the bottle and put it in the bag.
That's all right. And then I'm going to put about a tablespoon of lemon juice. And I'm going to put it in the steak. And then I'm going to rub that around just like I did that seasoning. I'm going to try to push it into the meat. And I'm going to flip the bag over and do the same on this side. And back with our Worcestershire sauce. I'm right-handed, so this is kind of hard to do with your left.
You're not ambidextrous?
No, I'm not. And we're going to put on our Worcestershire sauce, which I spilled on the table, and our lemon juice. And the same thing, push it in as much as you can. And like I said, my dad had one of them air sealers to get the air all out of that and compress it. That's what you want to do. You want to compress all the seasonings, the oil, the lemon juice, and everything into your meat. The steaks I buy down there, I grade them A, B, C's. C's is the ones that's so tough, no matter what you do to them, you're never going to be able to chew them because they're going to be tough. And A, you don't really got to do too much of anything to except season it, and it's good. The steaks they sell are like A's, AB's. So this is a pretty tender steak anyway, but this just puts a lot more flavor in it and makes it like you can take a butter knife and cut it when it's done. True, right?
Yeah, true.
So
basically what he's saying is you can take the toughest cut of meat, and if you do what he's doing right here, you're not going to be able to know the difference when you cook it.
Yeah. I get it all closed up tight. I lift the bag because I don't want to get any of the juice in my mouth. And I suck the air out.
Poor man's air sealer.
That's right, poor man's air sealer. That way all that juice is stuck right around the meat. There's no extra space hardly for it to expand. And this will keep your steak better longer in the freezer also. I've stored steaks 6-8 months. I put a date on it before we put them in the freezer. And they taste just as good 8 months from now as they did the day you bought it. The longer you let it set, the further these seasonings will soak into that meat.
Yeah.
Because I've taken big, thick cut ones that are like an inch, inch and a half thick. And when you cut them, when they're still, before they're cooked, you can see halfway up either side, there's just a thin layer of red left in the middle. It's dark colored from all the seasonings I put into it. And it gives it so much flavor. And they're so tender. Like I said, it tenders up cheaper meat. You can't take something that's a really, like a mock steak. You can make it a lot better. It's still going to be a mock steak. It's not going to taste like a T-bone. I'm not trying to say that. But you can take cheaper cuts and make better tasting steaks by doing this and make them last longer in your freezer than they would have if you just put them in a bag and threw them in there.
It'll be a lot more tender.
Yeah, and if we get an air sealer, it'll probably be even better because it'll constrict even more air out of it because we're planning on buying one of those when we can find a decent one.
Yeah.
Well, that's my trip. That's my tip for today, my trick for today. This is what we used to do at the restaurant, and this is what I do at home. So if you want to give it a try, go ahead. You can use, like I said, any of your favorite dry seasonings, any kind of oil you want, any kind of wet seasoning. Just make sure you put some lemon juice on it. If you're doing something that's Mexican, you might want to use lime juice, but that helps break down the fibers in that steak to make it more tender. So for Penguin and the Chef, have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.